In 1859, a man drilled into the ground in Pennsylvania and changed the world forever. The substance he found was black, thick, and almost worthless on its own, but when refined, it powered machines, fueled armies, and built empires. Whoever controlled it controlled the century. That substance was oil. And for 150 years, oil was the most valuable resource on Earth. Wars were fought over it. Governments were toppled for it. Entire economies were built on top of it. Then something shifted. Around 2006, something new began flowing through the world, invisible, weightless, and infinitely more powerful than oil. It didn't come from the ground. It came from you. Every search you typed, every purchase you made, every location you visited, every person you called, every thought you shared online. You were producing it constantly, without knowing it, without being paid for it, without even realizing it had value. By 2017, the 5 most valuable companies in the world were no longer oil companies, car manufacturers, or banks. They were data companies. And the men who built those companies understood something that governments, regulators, and ordinary people did not. Data isn't just valuable. Data is power. And whoever controls the data controls the future. This is the story of how that happened and what it means for every person alive today. Let's start at the beginning. For most of human history, power came from land. If you owned the land, you controlled the food, the shelter, the people who worked it. Kings and emperors were essentially large landowners with armies. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Suddenly, power shifted. It moved from land to capital, machines, factories, railroads. The men who owned those became the new kings: Carnegie, Rockefeller, Morgan. Then came oil, and a new class of power emerged, one built not on what you owned, but on what flowed through pipes you controlled. Each time the transition happened faster than the previous one, and each time the people who saw it coming first became extraordinarily powerful. The data revolution is the 4th great shift in the history of power, and it happened so quietly that most people didn't notice until it was too late. Here is how the business model works, and once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. In 2004, Facebook launched. It was free. It has always been free. You don't pay a single dollar to use it. But Facebook is worth over $800 billion. Ask yourself, where does that money come from? The answer is you. Not your money, your attention, your behavior, your data. Every click, every like, every pause on a video, every message you send, Facebook records it, analyzes it, packages it, and sells it to advertisers who want to reach exactly people like you. You are not the customer. You are the product. Google does the same thing. So does Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, and almost every free app on your phone. The deal is always the same. You give them your data. They give you a free service. Then they sell your data to the highest bidder. This model has a name. Shoshana Zuboff, a Harvard professor, called it surveillance capitalism, and her argument is simple but devastating. These companies don't just observe human behavior, they predict it, and then they modify it. Because data doesn't just tell you what someone did. With enough of it, it tells you what they will do, what they want before they know they want it, what message will change their mind, what fear will make them click. This is not advertising. This is behavioral engineering at civilizational scale. Let's talk about how much data actually exists. In 2020, the world generated 40 zettabytes of data. That number means almost nothing to the human brain, so let's put it differently. If you stored all the data created in a single day on standard DVDs, the stack would reach the moon and back 26 times. And the pace is accelerating. By 2025, the world is projected to generate 175 zettabytes of data every single year. Where does it all come from? Your phone generates data constantly. Your location, your speed, what apps you open, how long you look at each screen. Your smart TV watches you watching it. It tracks what you watch, when you pause, when you rewind. Your fitness tracker knows your heart rate, your sleep patterns, your stress levels. Your car records where you go, how fast you drive, and when you brake. Your credit card knows what you eat, where you shop, what you buy for your children. And increasingly, your home is watching too. Smart speakers, smart thermostats, smart doorbells, all of them listening, recording, transmitting. Every device, every app, every platform is a data collection machine. And they are all feeding into a system so vast and so interconnected that no single person fully understands it. Now let's talk about the companies that control this system. At the top sits a small number of firms: Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft. Between them, they have access to more data about more human beings than any institution in history, more than any government, more than any intelligence agency, more than any empire. Google processes over 8.5 billion searches every single day. Each search is a window into what a person is thinking, worrying about, planning, or afraid of. Meta has over 3 billion active users. It knows who you are friends with, what you argue about, what makes you laugh, what makes you angry, and who you are attracted to. Amazon knows what you buy, what you almost bought, what you searched for, what you returned. And using that data, it can predict what you will want next with frightening accuracy. Apple knows which apps you use, when you sleep, where you travel, and through its health platform, increasingly what is happening inside your body. And Microsoft, less visible but just as powerful, sits inside the computers and cloud systems of governments, militaries, corporations, and hospitals around the world. These companies are not just businesses, they are information empires. And the data they hold is not just commercially valuable, it is strategically, politically, and militarily significant. And this is where it gets darker. In 2013, a young contractor named Edward Snowden walked out of an NSA facility in Hawaii carrying a hard drive. What he revealed changed the world's understanding of data forever. The US government, through the NSA, had built a secret system called PRISM, and through PRISM it had direct access to the servers of Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Yahoo, and others. Every email, every search, every private message, every video call, the government could access it, not with individual warrants, but in bulk, in secret, at scale. The companies denied it. Then the documents proved it, and the world had to confront a reality it had preferred not to think about. Your data was never just being used to sell you trainers. It was being used to map networks of human relationships, to identify dissidents, to track journalists, to monitor activists, to build profiles of millions of people who had done nothing wrong. And it was not just America. Britain's GCHQ had built its own system called Tempora that intercepted fiber optic cables and captured vast quantities of global internet traffic in real time. China had gone even further. China's approach to data is different in one critical way. The state and the corporations are not separate. In China, every tech company is ultimately accountable to the Communist Party. Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, ByteDance, all of them operate under laws that require them to share data with the government on request without needing to inform the user. And China has built something unprecedented, the social credit system. It works like this. Every citizen is assigned a score. That score rises and falls based on behavior: paying bills on time, following traffic laws, what you post online, who you associate with, what you buy. A high score unlocks privileges, better loan rates, faster government services, priority boarding on trains. A low score triggers punishments: blocked from buying plane tickets, restricted from certain schools, publicly named as a defaulter. Millions of Chinese citizens have already been blacklisted under this system. Over 23 million plane tickets were blocked in a single year. This is what data control looks like when it is fully integrated into the machinery of the state. And it is not science fiction. It is happening right now. Now back to the West, because the story doesn't end with governments. In 2018, a scandal broke that shook faith in the entire data economy. Cambridge Analytica, a British political consulting firm, had harvested the personal data of 87 million Facebook users without their knowledge. They had built psychological profiles of voters across America, and those profiles had been used to target individuals with personalized political messages designed to exploit their specific fears, insecurities, and values. The firm claimed it had worked on the Brexit campaign in the UK and on the Trump campaign in America. The idea that data could be weaponized not just to sell products, but to shift the outcome of elections, to literally change who governs nations, sent shockwaves through the political establishment. Facebook paid a $5 billion fine, the largest data privacy fine in US history at the time. Cambridge Analytica shut down. But the techniques they pioneered didn't disappear. They spread. And today, every major political campaign in the developed world uses versions of the same tools: data harvesting, psychological profiling, micro-targeted messaging. Democracy runs on information, and information is now a resource that can be mined, refined, and deployed as a weapon. Let's zoom out and ask a bigger question. Oil made certain nations extraordinarily powerful: Saudi Arabia, Russia, the Gulf states. Their influence came not from their armies or their culture or their values, but simply from what sat beneath their ground. Data is doing the same thing, but faster and at greater scale. Right now, the world's data is concentrated in two places: the United States and China. These two nations are engaged in what many analysts believe is the defining geopolitical competition of the 21st century, not for territory, not for oil, for data. The battle over Huawei was a data battle. The ban on TikTok is a data battle. The race to build 5G infrastructure across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America, China versus America, is a data battle. Because whoever builds the infrastructure controls the flow, and whoever controls the flow controls the intelligence, and whoever controls the intelligence controls the future. The rest of the world is watching two empires fight over a resource they don't yet fully understand. So where does this leave you? Here is the uncomfortable truth. You cannot opt out. Not really. You can delete your Facebook account, but Facebook still holds your data, and it still builds what it calls a shadow profile on you, based on data collected from other users who interact with you. You can use a VPN, but your internet service provider still sees your traffic. Your phone still pings cell towers. Your credit card still records your purchases. You can use a dumb phone, but the moment you re-enter any digital system, a hospital, a bank, an employer, you are generating data again. The infrastructure of modern life is built on data collection. Opting out means opting out of modern life itself. What you can do is understand it, because understanding it is the first step toward demanding something better. The oil industry for decades operated with almost no regulation. Companies drilled wherever they wanted, spilled whatever they spilled, and paid almost no price for the damage they caused. Eventually, the world caught up. Environmental laws, cleanup requirements, carbon targets. The data industry is at the same stage the oil industry was in 1960. The product is being extracted at maximum speed with minimum accountability, and the damage is only just beginning to be understood. Europe moved fastest. The GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, gave European citizens the right to know what data is held on them, to request its deletion, and to be informed when it is shared. Companies that violate it face fines of up to 4% of global revenue. America has moved far more slowly. The lobbying power of the tech giants in Washington is extraordinary, and the ideology that underpins Silicon Valley, that data should flow freely, that regulation stifles innovation, has kept meaningful federal legislation at bay for years. But the tide is turning. The Cambridge Analytica scandal, the Snowden revelations, the endless security breaches, the growing evidence that social media algorithms are damaging mental health, distorting democracy, and radicalizing millions. People are starting to understand the deal they made, and they're starting to ask whether it was worth it. Here is the final thought. In 1911, the U.S. government broke up Standard Oil, John Rockefeller's monopoly over the American oil industry. The company had become too powerful, too concentrated, too dangerous to democracy and competition. Today, 5 companies control more of the world's critical information infrastructure than Standard Oil ever controlled of the world's oil. The question is not whether data is the new oil. It clearly is. The question is whether the world will do what it eventually did with oil, recognize the danger of letting too much power concentrate in too few hands before the damage becomes irreversible. History suggests the answer comes late. The only question is how late.